an assassin in magical chains, a vulgar display of power, and a deep, dark pit of hell awaits in this episode of the Sort of Truth podcast.
Nailed it!
Nailed it! Yes!
Welcome back to the Sort of Truth podcast, the chapter-by-chapter reread of the Sort of Truth series with a spit spot of craft brew on the side. I'm Jade.
And I'm Nate, and on this episode we are getting into Chapter 3 of Temple of the Winds.
Yeah.
A spit spot of craft brew.
Yeah.
Is that like after you've had a few and maybe you lose your, what is it called? Your facilities, your faculties a little bit?
Wow.
You start drooling. Maybe not drooling,
Wow.
but like, you know, when you're really drunk, people can tell by the way you talk. Just getting a little loose.
I feel like there's a couple ways you could go. You could go like, the people who spit. There are people who spit, like just
Yeah.
randomly, you know,
Like the king from Hamilton.
yeah. So like just a spit spot, or just like not even that, or like on purpose spitting. You know those like not always country type, but a lot of times country type people who they just like spit. Like
Yeah.
you're in a garage or something and they'll spit.
Well, it was just recently St. Patty's Day. So
Yeah.
happy belated St. Patty's Day to everybody. But there was that episode of Family Guy where they're in Ireland. He's like, give me a beer. And he does. He pours him one and he goes, that's not a beer. And then the guy spits in it and then he slides it down the bar to
Yeah.
him. And he's like, thank you. That's a beer.
The other
There's
way,
your spit spot
Yeah.
of craft brew.
I was also gonna say maybe just like a small amount, like a spit spot, like a sample.
That could be.
But
Just
yeah,
a spot. They
Yeah.
say spot of tea.
Yeah.
So that works.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I don't think we really have any housekeeping today, so we are just going to get right into this chapter.
yeah, that's fun.
It is. We don't want to go super long in the beginning most of the time, just because we want to get to the shit instead of just keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off like I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Are you annoyed?
No.
I'm sorry.
no.
Let's continue.
It's fine.
This chapter begins with Kara asking again if she can kill Marlin. Not knowing Jagang's plan, Kaylin still not okay with that. She wants to lock him up somewhere she knows he can't escape. Kara, I'm sure frustrated with the repetition of saying, I have it handled, guys, offers to show Kaylin just how well she can control her new pet.
Now, this demonstration that we're gonna see is pretty similar to the one that we see in the first book with Richard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
there's a purpose for it in this story, obviously, because we're seeing that Marlin is controlled. Obviously, he's not like faking it to our eyes,
Right.
because he would probably have gotten out at that point if he could. But it is also kind of another one of those like walkthrough for people who haven't been there before.
Yeah, yep, just so you get up to speed on what the Mordsith can do, what Kara herself is capable of,
Yeah.
and plus, Kara and Kaylin having this whole trust conversation from the last chapter. This way Kara can, show her, hey, I know you have your doubts. I understand you trust me because you care about me. That means a lot. However, if I can just show you this super cool thing I can do real quick, you'll feel a lot better about it too.
And reiterating for, whoever's reading, just why Kara is so confident
Right.
that this dude is not going to be a problem.
There is a reason behind it. It's not passion rules reason.
Yeah.
It's reason and passion.
Yeah.
Passionate reason.
Like,
Be fucking scared.
This is a tried and tested theory. It's not a theory anymore. It is a fact.
Kara's got her shit handled. So, when she opens the door, the guards jump because they weren't expecting that. Inside the room, everything is covered in blood. You got splashes on the bookcase, pools of blood on the carpet, it's all over the walls, just real fucking nightmare fuel. Marlin's face included. Look out, Dad Joke coming in hot.
Wow.
Love it.
Wow.
It is. He's pretty fucked up. He's bleeding. Those thuds and crashes we were hearing from the last chapter, that most of that I like to imagine was done to Marlin's face directly.
I guess so. And that's why, I was a little surprised, I guess, when the door opened and everything was covered in, because, we were there. we saw that there was some damage dealt, but it didn't feel like enough to splatter everything in blood.
Yeah. I think maybe when they were crawling around, when Kaylin was crawling around in the dark, there might have been like,
Smearage?
yeah, like it would slick with blood on the stone floor. Just any sort of mention of that would have painted a picture
Yeah.
that there was more blood in the room.
Yeah, that probably would have helped. Cause when they opened the door, I was like, blood is everywhere. What do you
yeah.
mean? She smacked him like twice.
But then again, Kara was doing most of that damage, not Kaylin. And we didn't really get a first-person view of what Kara was going through, so, it could have happened.
yeah, we know she did get whacked by a book or something, didn't
Yeah. There were chairs thrown, books thrown,
she?
the Aegil was used, so anytime the Aegil is used, there's blood around.
Not always, though.
Okay, not
guess
always, but it's possible. And she was definitely trying to hurt this guy.
Yeah, no, that's true. I guess that's like, I'm never sure how much blood is spilled within a jail because I think in the show, a lot of times they didn't show as much blood because it's a show that was on television, like
Yeah.
daytime TV. So there was a lot more of the Taze-do going on than just like splitting you open.
Yeah,
type
at
shit.
the end of the day, it's a Disney show,
Yeah.
right? So there could be some, but not a lot.
And we do know that they did, use it without making them bleed all the time because they would like break the ribs and shit without making
Yeah,
them bleed.
internal damage.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is book 4 now, so we're beyond the show anyway.
Yeah, that's
as,
true.
As far as I
That's
remember.
true.
So, she tells the men she's going to give a demonstration, and she doesn't want anyone to interfere. That goes for Kaylin, too. Now, look, this seems harsh for Kara to be like, you too, bitch. I mean, maybe have just a little more respect, but at the same time, she does need her to understand.
Well,
This has a purpose that she has to sit and watch to understand.
yeah, and in the last chapter, Kaylin was already being like, "Are we going too far?" So, like,
Oh, yeah.
she needs her to be like, "Hey, I got this."
It's like Boondock Saints at the very yeah, fuck it. It's been out since late 90s, so it's fine. At the very end of Boondock Saints, when they're like, how far do we have to go, Dad? And he's like, the question isn't how far we have to go. The question is, are you willing to go as far as needed? And then fade to black. Ooh, it gave me the chills right now when I said it. It's just like, yeah. But that's where Kara's come from. Kara's coming from.
Yeah.
Kara's coming.
Wow.
Good for her.
Wow.
Sorry. Okay. She says if Marlon can make it to the door, then he can go free. She gives him a sword from one of the men and tells him not to hurt anyone. Then she tells him to spit on the floor and stand on that spot with both feet. Then she turns her back and tells Marlon now is his chance.
So, sorry, I had to like wrap my brain around it because I think when I read it, I forgot that like she gave him the sword at the same time she told him to like
Mhm.
do the spit thing. But yeah, so she's doing this happened with Richard too. He was given his sword by Denna, and she was like, yeah,
Well, he had his.
yeah, his sword, by like he was giving it back,
Oh, yes. Yep, you're right.
and they were just like, yeah, you can have your weapon because it doesn't fucking matter.
Right. She's totally in control. And again, this goes to your point of how confident she is about that control because she turns her back to the motherfucker. Granted,
yeah.
there are guards. Kaylin is around. There are other people,
Yeah,
but she's not that far away from him. She turns her back and is like, all right, do what you will.
yeah, do whatever you want.
Marlon, not sure what to do, understandably so, I would say, takes the smallest of baby steps and instantly doubles over in pain. He tries diving for the door, but no luck. He just hits the floor screaming. He tries crawling. No luck there either. It just hurts worse and worse with every inch. Podcast foul, I win. And now that happened, I can honestly say I have no idea if the volume on my computer is turned down or not.
Well,
So,
doesn't look like it. So
1 point for me. Okay, so he changes tactics then, figuring he can't get out of the door. It just hurts too damn much. But if you kill Kara, then the magic stops. Then you can just walk right out the door. I would imagine, though, that if he killed Kara, the guards would assume, okay, test is over, and then they would kill that motherfucker. Or Kaylin would try to confess him.
well, yeah. I mean, before this demonstration, Kara tried to make it clear to everybody that if he was able to, I mean, even after killing Kara, he was free to go. But I can't imagine they would hold to that promise once that person's dead and
Yeah.
Richard is in threat again. What?
Yeah, he would be threatened again. Yeah,
Threatened. I was like, in threat. What's the word for what I'm saying? You know.
The potential for threat is greater now.
Yeah.
That Kara is out of the picture, or
Yeah.
if she had been killed, which she doesn't.
Well, yeah,
but...
the magic dude would be out again. It would be
right.
a big threat. Yeah.
So Marlin, still like screaming in agony, moving inch by inch, he lifts the sword above his head. This makes Kaylin very nervous. Even if he just falls over, the sword could fly out of his hands and fucking hurt somebody. You know? Like, it could happen.
That's what my thought is whenever someone's playing with the sharp thing. I'm like, I know that you don't intend anyone to get hurt, honey, but things happen, and I might just end up beheaded because you accidentally let go. So let's just put it away.
I feel like you've said that to me once or 10 times.
Probably. Anytime anyone's wielding anything of this nature, I'm like, ooh, I know you got it, but do you got it?
I know you said that to me when I got my pirate sword.
Yeah, or like axes always make me nervous because what if the top flies off?
Yeah.
You don't fucking know how well
that.
it's together.
I'm never behind or in front of anybody when we're camping and they're cutting wood.
Nah,
Stay
man.
well away.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kaylin takes a nervous step forward, raising her arm. She's ready to confess this fucker because she is very, very nervous. Kara, calm as can be, just holds up a finger as Marlin crashes to the ground, screaming. And he continues screaming until he is standing back on his spit spot with both fucking feet.
Spit spot.
Spit spot. So, I mean, it was kind of funny because he gets into position, right? He stands up. I think the sword is still on the ground. He just abandoned all hope of that. Then he gets on the spot with one foot, and he's just standing there screaming. And Kara's like, check your feet, bro. And he's like, looking at his feet. And then, oh, fuck. And then he can finally sag in relief.
She does like explain that to him. It's not just like he figures out, oh, I need to go stand back on the spit spot. She's like, yo, if you go back there, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I told you to stand on that spot and not hurt anybody. You just tried breaking both of my wishes. That's why you're hurting.
Yeah.
So if you go back to the thing I want you to be doing, you'll be fine.
No big deal.
No big deal. Point made. Kara hands back the sword and tells the men to quit fucking banging on the door while I'm working. Then she slams the door shut and goes back to taunting Marlin, telling him that tonight she's just gonna torture him for the hell of it. She got herself into a mood, boy. Look out. You pissed her off.
To be fair, okay, the Mord Sith have been routinely, like, training men for a long time, and they're kind of crazy, and have had to deal with create their own coping mechanisms for the stressors in their lives.
Some very unique coping mechanisms.
Right. I would imagine that one of those coping mechanisms, probably not healthy, it's not a great thing, I don't support it, but probably is training those men or hurting them in some way, taking out some pain. She hasn't been able to do that.
Right.
In a hot minute. So, Kara probably needs a little bit of stress relief.
Like we talked about in the last chapter, Kara is a very complicated person. All the Mord Sith are.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a pressure building, some steam, if you will, inside of the Mord Sith.
Yeah.
And for all the bad shit that's happened to them in their lifetimes, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that being super aggro to somebody would relieve that tension a little bit. Just to take it out on anybody.
And this is the first, actual palpable threat to Richard in a while.
Right. Even better.
Yeah, and Richard is, means so much to her because of everything he's given to her. So she could just be like, fuck you for threatening to take that from me.
Uh-huh.
Here's all of my built up stress and anger from the last 2 years. How about that?
Oh, fuck.
Because I'm also mad
at... envy that guy.
Yeah, I'm also mad at Dark and Rawl for everything he did. And now he's dead, which is great, but I didn't get to say my piece to him either. So you can be a stand-in for him. So yeah, she probably does want to hang out all night with Marlin.
Wow, that's really deep, actually. You're the stand-in for my dead past torturer.
Yeah.
And a threat to my present...
savior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, this guy is so done, he doesn't even know it. she tells Kaylin, told you nobody ever got away. Ha!
Mhm.
And Kaylin says, well, Richard did.
Yeah, okay. So he's Richard.
I do like how Kara is like, well, it's fucking Richard.
Yeah.
Okay, of course he did. He doesn't
Yeah.
count. He's pretty cool. You know, he does his weird shit. Things don't work the same around Richard. You know, that's not fair.
Rules don't apply.
But look, that's Kaylin's point. No matter the odds, if even one man got away, that means escape is possible.
Yeah.
Look,
I get
she
it.
doesn't doubt Kara's ability as a Mordsith. It's not about that. But if it is possible, then she's not willing to bet Richard's life just on Kara's pride.
Which, okay.
Yeah.
I totally, get it. There's been flaws before. Yes, Richard is the first of his kind born in 3,000 years, but how many other weird anomalies are out there that we haven't seen in a very long time? Who fucking knows? You don't know. So let's just, sit on it. That's not a bad thing. This is not a bad thing that they're doing.
No, not at all. So, where does Kaylin want to keep this guy? The deepest, darkest, smelliest, dankest, most secure hole in this whole fucking palace. The pit.
The pit.
Ooh, the pit. It's almost scarier now because we've been to the pit before.
Yeah.
In previous books. So we know it's fucking bad down there. And then so when she reminds you of it in this one, you're like, oh shit, yeah, no, that's not a good place. You don't want to go there.
It's that place. And apparently, we only have one pit. There's no... It doesn't seem like there's very much middle ground. It's like either you're not imprisoned or you're in the pit.
I feel like you only need one pit.
I mean, I guess.
Now, we'll get into this. We won't get into it, but we'll mention it a little later. You can get in and out of the pit. But to me, if you called something the pit, that's like a black hole of in the bottom of a dungeon that's in a castle on a mountain with an overhang. Like in the Game of Thrones where they throw people off the fucking mountain so they're guaranteed to die. It's like that, except it's just 300 feet straight down, guaranteed to die if you fall down there, and there is no ladder up.
And I guess...
You know what I mean? Like, they just leave your ass in there.
And I suppose, theoretically, things have been relatively normal over the last little while, so it's like, they didn't need... back in the way back times, they had the keep.
Back in the way back.
Well,
The
back in the
Wayback
Wayback
Machine.
They had the keep, which is what would support probably a lot of the magical side of things. And you have the pit that had your big bad criminals that came to the palace. If they came to the palace, I'm sure they have a prison somewhere too. But I suppose there hasn't been very many crazy instances until Richard came around. He spurred everything. Now you're getting real bad, weird shit everywhere, which makes me be like, build prisons everywhere, magic safe prisons.
Or at the very least, start to talk about what you would do with a guy like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Really start to explore some real fucking punishment options
or
here.
real solutions to keeping him in prison, not a problem.
Well, you know what is... Well, it's not really a problem, if I'm being totally honest.
It's not a problem.
It's not a problem at all. And it's sitting about 1 foot away from me right now. Do you know what that might be?
Beer.
It's a beer. It's a beer. You guessed it. Gosh, you're good at this game.
I'm smart.
It's almost as if about halfway through almost every episode, you just expect us to have a beer, Jade.
Yeah. Well, I expect to be having one before that, but I expect us to talk
help
about it.
Yeah. All right. Yes, it is time for the beer break. Today, we have Michigan Maple Milkshake Stout from Rochester Mills Beer Company. This is a milk stout brewed with maple syrup, milk sugar, and cocoa nibs. And is delicious. It's 5.8% and 20 IBUs, so not bitter at all. And you surprised me with this one today when we were getting ready to record, and you're like, I'm drinking a beer. Here you go, try that. So I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And I tried it, and it's it's so good. I know you don't care for syrup most of the time.
No, but in a beer,
having
I can
in
drink
beer,
it. Yeah.
it eliminates the stickiness.
Yeah.
And so it's very good.
Just the flavor isn't bad most of the time.
Our friends, I also want to say, over at 4 Acre Freedom, this is not an ad, but they tap their maple trees on their property, And so they make like real maple syrup every year, and they gave us a little bottle last year, and it is so fucking much better than anything in the store.
We
And I feel like
actually,
because you get that flavor in this beer, I guess was my point. It's
yeah,
good.
we actually had a mason jar, and that's what like the kids were using that before the store bought syrup, so it was gone very quickly.
Yes. Yeah, so we're going to have one more of these, and we'll be back right after this. And we are back. I'm telling you, one of these times, I'm going to get you singing.
I don't know why I like to sing when we're just hanging out during the beer break. I don't do that very often, but it
Today,
just happens.
it was a beautiful rendition of the opening song to The Lion King. And as my hand traveled down to the mouse, the issue was I made eye contact with her. If I hadn't have done that, I would have captured it for all of you guys, and it would have been fantastic.
It wasn't great. It was really bad.
No, it wasn't bad. It was beautiful.
Not the right words at all, but that's fine.
I just like the way you sing. Even if you self-admittedly, you say you can't sing
No.
very well. So when you do it, especially when you got just a little bit of that beer soul in your voice, it is just music to my ears.
Yeah, it's something. I bet ya.
I like it very, very much. All right. Well, let's get back into this chapter. Cut to something Kaylin does not like very, very much. That was not planned.
Wow, look at your segues.
Yeah, that was pretty good,
Look at
wasn't
you.
it?
Coming
Okay.
back strong.
She's looking at the iron door to the pit. She says she's fine, but Kara doesn't buy it and reminds her to never, ever, ever lie to a sister of the Aegil. Not wanting to break that trust, which, understandable, she tells Kara why she's nervous.
Again, this is another one of those things where it's like, hey, I'll tell you later when we're not, like, standing in front of a group of soldiers and the prisoner. Okay?
Now, she goes through who she's related to, who they're related to, the history of what happened once they got there, and then why they went into the pit, what happened to Cirilla in the pit, right? And she goes through the whole thing when it could be just like, look, I got history with this fucking place. I don't fucking like it. Okay?
I'll tell you over
I'll
a
tell
beer
you later.
when
Yeah.
it's done. Because, this is not appropriate timing for this conversation. Just saying.
No. That's kind of a common theme in like the last few chapters, honestly. They're talking about stuff that we totally want to see them talk about.
Yeah.
This trust stuff, this, hey, protectors of Lord Rawl, this history, your trauma. This is a bonding moment for these two women, and I think it's great. Just not right now.
I think when you're reading the books, like, quickly, you don't realize, because the book does this thing, like on TV, where it'll zoom in on the two main characters, so you just see the two of them, like, talking in front of a door. And then the scene progresses, and the camera pans back, and you see the other people standing there. And it's like, that's weird then. What?
You were the whole time?
Yeah. You don't realize that when you're reading a book, because the scene changes in such a way that it's not visually
very
obvious
apparent
to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if this was a TV show, it would be weird and, like, comedic, the way that they're like, serious conversation. Pan out to the rest of the dudes standing there like, I really need a coffee.
So she tells her about, what happened to her half-sister, Cirilla, down there, and how she was driven mad. There's a little piece in this chapter here where Kaylin's like, she wants me to be the queen, and I told her I'd do it, but I don't want to do it. And that just, I know all of it's true, and I know the reasons behind it. It's very intense and a very important thing. However, I have no sympathy for Kaylin when she's talking about somebody who wants me to rule this country, but I'm just like, no, whatever. Oh, no, take it. What are you doing? You're way up there in, the scheme of things. And technically, you are the queen there. You said you would do it.
Yeah.
So it's fine. But, don't complain to people about being the queen.
Yeah,
Come
especially
on.
when you said to do it, especially when, like you said, she agreed to it, when she could have just been like, eat one, Harold, right? That's his name.
Yes.
Fucking Prince Harold.
Prince Harold.
You are the king.
Mm-hmm.
You fucking playboy bitch. Just stop. You don't get to go play swords with your friends. You have a job to do, and it's not mine.
Yeah, and I mean, she didn't want to take the job right off the bat anyway. She told them she wasn't crazy about it. But then when you accept a position like that, it's like, just imagine this. The people that are running to become the president, okay, here in the United States, they spend months just arguing with each other and like bolstering themselves up and I know this isn't the way that it happened to Caitlyn. These people want this job. But then once they got the job, they're like, dude, being the president fucking sucks. I don't even really want to do this bullshit anymore. And they just go fuck off and like golf or whatever. You know?
I mean, in a nutshell.
I mean, okay, I guess my point was I just don't feel very much sympathy when Kaylyn's complaining about being a queen of a country who has like a lot of pride and like a lot of good history shit behind it too.
Yeah.
You know? Good history shit. I am kind of talking about the Keltons, but more Galea. You know,
Yeah.
They have a different history with shit, so to speak.
Different history shit, yeah.
Okay.
Their museums are a little different over there.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. That is going to prompt a very weird Google search later. So if you see it on my history, you'll know where it came from.
We should make
Shit museum of
should
wherever
make a
the hell.
Kelton crest.
It's just a big poop on a shit.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Fuck. Oh my god, that's so funny. What's that? Oh, god damn it, Kelton's here. Okay.
There's like a fire, like a fire with a shit on it. Because they'll shit on anything.
I fucking love it so much. You're on fire, JD. Okay. Sorry. Back to serious stuff.
Sad.
My
This is
bad.
Sad.
This is very sad,
is
actually.
Sad.
Okay, so she goes on to tell Kara about what almost happened to her down there as well. Okay, very,
In the
very
pit.
serious. In the pit. And then she's like, sorry, I'm just being crazy. And again, I have to stop and say, no, you're not. That was traumatic shit. You're not just being crazy about being nervous about going in there.
Yeah, no. But these books do a good job of breezing over very traumatic things and being like, yeah, these people don't have PTSD. Was
Kind
it
of like
Amy?
this podcast.
Yeah. Was it Amy that was like, when I read this in the 90s, it was different as opposed
Yeah.
to if I read it now, I wouldn't be able to suspend my disbelief that the Mord Sith wouldn't be completely fucked
Right.
as people.
Yeah, there was no understanding of or not as good of an understanding of PTSD.
Or acceptance that everybody, like, yeah, traumatic shit happens to you that, like, your brain breaks.
That's going to stick with you.
Yeah. You can't just, like, turn a switch and be like, I'm normal now because my situation has changed. That doesn't just happen. Your brain has to be retrained. It's
Right.
a very difficult thing.
Which is actually a pretty great parallel with Kara and her fierceness of loving Richard and what he's doing for the Mord Sith. He's doing that for them.
Yeah,
It's actually pretty wonderful.
it is. But it's not as, real as, like, the intensive amounts of therapy they would actually need
Right.
to be functioning members of society,
Constant-
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple sessions a week type deep going therapy.
Yeah, and
for
also
sure.
Kaylin, like in this situation, yes, she probably has some shit she needs to talk out with some people. It was not great.
It isn't. But as bad as this place is, it is the safest place for a guy like Marlon. Totally secure, totally inescapable. Except for that one time that Kaylin escaped. But she's a mother confessor, right? So it's fine.
Okay. That line, whoop, I did a little thing.
Yeah, I heard the beer in your voice there.
So that line, I don't know if I want to say bothered me, but it stuck out to me because earlier in this chapter, Kara is like, yo, I got it. I got this prisoner. See? Can't escape. Totally great. And Kaylin's like, Richard did. We need a backup plan. Yeah. That's kind of what it felt like.
Little bit.
Okay, there's a loophole. And Kara wasn't happy, but she was like, cool, pit, right?
Except
got
what
it.
you said, got it.
Yeah. So at this point, it's been flipped, and now we're in the pit, and Kara's like, okay, but you got out.
Right.
And Kaylin's like, yeah, but I'm me, so no big deal. Like, she doesn't address it. Like, I would have been happier had she been like, yes, but now we have a badass Mord Sith down here that is backing up, and I would never have gotten out if there had been a Mord Sith down
Right.
there, Kara. That would have made me happy. But her like answer to that was just, yeah, but I'm me. Like, oh, she didn't offer up a third solution. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yes, this
That's what I was waiting
Yeah.
for.
There's a loophole, obvious loophole in both of our plans because somebody got out, proven.
Right.
So what do we do to fill that gap?
It's
She
like-
doesn't mention it.
You break it down. Kara's magic is half of this equation, and you break it down, and the pit is half of this equation. Now, at least one person, our two people, have escaped from both of these situations. That means both of these things are at best running 49% of the equation. That brings us to 98. That means that even with the pit and Kara's control of Marlin,
There's like a slim chance.
there's just a little bit. Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah.
It could happen. And it's way more secure than just one or the other. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
But that conversation
Yes.
is never had.
Right.
Kaylin shuts it down by just like
By saying
waving her
she's a
hand away
badass,
and being
yeah.
like, I'm the mother confessor. Oh shit. Okay.
Is that a passion over reason thing? She's just being all into herself right now, so she's kind of missing that? Or
I don't know what it is because it's breezed by so quickly in the chapter that I don't know if it was meant to be anything, but it stuck out to me every
Yeah.
time I've read this chapter. Like, that seems ignorant and assholey to say after what you said to Kara literally a chapter, like not even a chapter, like a paragraph ago.
Well, even saying like, hey, Kara, we have you here, so it's better now than it was, would be
Yeah.
a plus to that conversation, like you said.
And then feed into her bond
And
that
then-
she's growing with her. Like, the Aegea will help
Yeah.
me in this situation.
Then, since they're all like on the same page with each other, they could be, okay, now let's look at the 2% of our scenario here that's not covered. And
Yeah.
how the fuck do we fix that? I have a suggestion. Maybe Richard would have an idea.
Oh,
but
ma-
that's
no,
just I
no.
know.
Can't tell him anything.
Just, dumb king running off, feeding squirrels, doing whatever the hell he wants to do.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any good input whatsoever.
Well, why would we bother with him? He's a man.
Well, that's very true. Wow. I deserve that. So okay, yeah. So like we said, there is an issue with this plan, but it just makes her feel better having this piece of shit in the deepest, darkest hole on top of Kara having control of him. That's as good as they have right now. It's gonna have to make do. They open the door to the pit, and they are met with the wonderful aroma of perfume, scented candles, maybe a bath bomb.
A little bit of weed.
Ooh, a little bit of that dank in the air. Yes. No, it doesn't smell anything like that. It smells like death. And Kara's afraid there's rats. Kaylin says there's no way for them to get down there. But screech, record break, or scratch, or whatever. I'm pretty sure there were rats in there the last time.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that there's like pretty solid evidence because I looked back at the chapters that we are referring to in book 2, and there's a little passage where Cirilla is like worried that there's rats in the pit, and Fyron leans his little ass into the doorway, echoing his voice into the hole in the ground, and there's a voice that comes back to him because he's asking, the queen wants to know if there's rats down there. And the voice says, rats? There be no rats down here. Not anymore. We ate them all. Because there were rats down there.
Because there were.
Also, there's no prisoners there to eat them now. So there's pretty sure going to be rats down there. Third of all, Kaylin doesn't know shit about rats. I'm pretty sure. How would she fucking know if they could get down there or not? Rats can climb up walls.
Rats
and
can
down
climb
walls,
anything.
especially a stone wall. Are you kidding me?
Now, the reason that we know about rats is not because we live in a rat-infested house. We don't. Our son got his first pet for Christmas, and he got 2 rats, and they are wonderful little boys named Paul and Joey.
They're not very little, actually.
No, they're very big now. Probably, gosh, I want to say at least a foot no, they'd be
Including their tail. Yeah.
closer to 14 inches, I would say, from the tip of their nose to the tip of the tail.
Yeah.
And they are not done growing.
No.
But those little fuckers can get anywhere.
They can climb real crazy good.
They can literally climb the wall. They just don't need shit to go up a wall, and it is very freaky.
They have little hands.
Yeah.
It's
Opposable thumbs, the whole bit.
Yeah. So.
But they are wonderful little animals. Now that we have some in the house, all these people are like, ooh, rats, they're scary. I'm like, rats, they're really actually cuddly. They have huge personalities, and I love them very much.
I hate that they tickle so much because their little claws are like little.
Oh gosh, that's
all
the
up,
perfect sound for it
all
too.
up in your like
in your
neck
ear.
and like because like one of them likes to burrow in your neck underneath your hair.
Yep.
It could be a lot.
Rolls around in there and just like, I have a nest now.
Yep.
You can go about your day. Okay, but yeah, I wanted to throw that in there because there were definitely rats last time. So, I mean, they could have not gotten back in there, but I don't know. Jade and I have a hard time seeing why they wouldn't. If they were down there in the first place, they're down there now. They're going to keep being down there forever.
They can kind of go wherever they want. There's no reason for them not to have been able to get down there.
And besides, what's the point of having a pit if you don't have some rats in the pit to make it even, you know?
Seriously.
Okay. Kaylin tells the men to wait for them above as her, Kara, and Marlon descend into the pit. She's got more questions for her prisoner. She asks him, yes, that came out. She asks him if that, wow, I can't talk at all. She asks him if he would recognize Richard since he didn't recognize her. And he says he would. Kaylin is like, go on. And he says, yeah, I would recognize his ass from back at the Palace of the Prophets, where I was a student.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Marlon is 93 years old.
Old balls.
That... Big Daddy. Yeah, go be with him with his wrinkly old balls. But look, that's why his young eyes looked so odd. There was wisdom in them.
That's why he kept slipping back and forth between,
right.
The old dude and the young dude, because there's experience and wisdom, but also they've been like socially isolated inside a fucking palace with other 13-year-olds for the last 90 years.
Right.
Which is time. Time is weird.
They figured Jagang was told by the Sisters of the Dark that Richard didn't know how to use his gift, so he sent a wizard that did know how to use it to kill him. If it worked, great. If not, oh well.
I just want to point out that this wizard was apparently only 93 years old.
Okay.
And doesn't it normally take near to 200 years to train a wizard?
Oh, so he's not a fully trained wizard.
Not even close. He's like a baby.
Unless this is one of those wizards from the Palace of the Prophets that the Sisters of the Dark were fucking around with, right?
Yeah.
They instilled him with some extra gift, and so they cut him out early, kind of a thing.
That could be. I'm just saying, we've been told it takes, like, a really fucking long time. And so this guy is not actually a wizard who would actually know how to use his gift. He's just, like, kind of okay at knowing what he's doing.
Maybe Jagang figures, it doesn't matter if he's not the best wizard ever. If Richard doesn't know how to use his gift at all, then, like, fuck it.
Just lobbing softballs and hoping one hits him in the head.
So Marlon can't confirm this, but it does sound pretty legit. He's like, look, he doesn't tell me all of his plans, but yeah, I wouldn't past him treating me as being disposable. They decide that's enough for one day and that they'll question him again tomorrow. Kara then tells Marlon to stand on his spit until they return, and gets a little snappy with Kaylin too when she asks if it's necessary. It is.
And we were talking about this a little bit earlier, because you said, yeah, because if she didn't give him clear instructions, he could just do whatever the fuck he wants.
Right. If she didn't tell Marlon to stand exactly on that spot all night long without moving, then he could have access to the whole cell. And if he has access to the whole cell or the whole pit, he might be able to figure out a way to get out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming it's locked. I'm assuming there's guards.
Yeah.
There is guards for sure. But still, like, he could fuck around down there.
Yeah.
And so now they know, not only is he not fucking around, he's standing perfectly still, doing nothing. His mind is working, probably. But even if
Yeah.
he has a bad thought, he's
Yeah.
going to get hurt.
But, and this is where, like, she tells him he can't lay down or anything. He has to keep both full feet, soles down on the ground.
Right.
Right? So this is where me and Nate were talking about, like, okay, it would be interesting, probably not okay, not allowed, but right, if you knew that was the rule, number one, you hawk a giant loogie, right? You make a giant spit spot,
I know where you're going.
right?
Oh, as big as you possibly could, yeah.
You spray that shit. Or, like, can you not, is it specifically that spit spot? Could you make more spit spots and then move your way around the room? Or at the very least, over to a wall so you could lean?
That's what
or
I was
crouch?
thinking about. If you spit and then step continuously, you might be able to go somewhere. There is a problem with that theory, and that problem is that Kara points and says,
That spot.
That spot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so he is stuck. He can't do the spit walk,
like,
which
in the
would
future-
be fucking hilarious.
In the future, I mean, we know Denna got very comfortable with Richard at the end. And
Yep.
so it was one of those, like, spit and sand, like, just do it. And she would assume. So
Yeah.
she wouldn't necessarily tell him. So, like, there's room eventually for you to be able to do
Once-
that. And if there's a chair in the room, like, fuck, you don't even have to go to the wall. You just go spit to the chair and your feet are still on the ground while you're sitting in the chair.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing. If she didn't specifically tell him to stand there,
Yeah.
then he could try and take some liberties. However, like, when he sags earlier from getting back on his spot, he closes his eyes. And Kara's like, did I fucking tell you you could close your eyes? And
Yeah.
he goes, no. She's like, then don't do it. So they can't really just take those liberties either, because unless they were specifically told to do something,
I know.
they can't. But yeah, spit spot walking is hilarious. And I don't know why. I could just picture, like, far off in the distance, in the sands out by the Palace of the Prophets, right, where the people are all confused walking, and then you could just see this guy going spit, step, spit, step, and then he just stands there. He's like, hey, do you guys have any water? I literally can't go anywhere if I don't have more spit.
Well, and it's also because, like, okay, by the time Richard got comfortable enough with Denna to be able to do that, he, like, wouldn't have disobeyed her because he didn't want to upset her or get her in trouble.
Uh-huh.
But he also kind of assumed that she would let him rest if he needed. You know what I mean? So, like, I
Yeah.
could have seen him towards the end with his little sort of sparks of personality still in there, be like, spit his way to a chair and be like, I needed to sit.
Yeah.
And you said I couldn't walk, I couldn't move without saying, like, I had to stay on the spit spot. So I just moved my spit spot.
He would have to deal with the pain long enough to drag his shoe through the spit, so it would technically still be the same spit spot that he
Yeah.
could stand on somewhere else. Then, maybe.
And that's Richard using logic, so it
That
makes
might
sense.
be. Yep. So, on the way up the ladder, Kaylin thinks of just one more question. Did Marlin come to Aidendrill alone?
Oh, wow. That's a smart question.
It
you
is a
should
good
have asked long
question.
ago.
And the answer is, no, he didn't. He came with one other person.
Oh, no.
A sister of the dark.
Oh,
Now, he doesn't know her name, but she's young and pretty, and she's got long brown hair.
no. Ah.
Do we know anybody who's young, pretty, and has long brown hair who recently came to Aidendrill?
That bitch.
Nadine.
Yeah.
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 It's
See-
definitely her. That's a fucking problem.
See, I think because they had just caught that woman, they definitely got tunnel vision after they asked that question.
Yeah.
Because they were like, young, pretty, long brown hair, and both of their jealous little women asses were like, that one was pretty and she had brown hair. It has to be her.
Well,
She
she
was
did
acting
have
weird.
long brown hair.
And she was acting weird. But it's just, there should have been more like, oh, you didn't get her name? Did you talk about literally, what was she here to do? Where did she go?
Yeah. I think that one question alone would have been. I know they were done for the day, but I feel like the answer that he gave would warrant just some more questions, even if you
Yeah.
weren't going to delve deep.
Yeah. I know they assume they have the other one in custody already. I get that. But literally just being like, do you know where she was supposed to go? And if he would have said anywhere but the palace, you would have been like, well, that's not her then.
Right.
Or like, did you speak at all? You didn't know her name? You traveled here with her? That's weird.
Yeah, you literally just walked in silence, the both of you?
Yeah. Yeah. At least that
Wow.
question. Like, tell me what you said to each other before you left each other, at the very least. See you at the explosion site? What's happening?
See you when the shit goes down.
Yeah.
Person I don't know the name of.
Yeah. Where was the extraction site? We need more answers.
It's like Reservoir Dogs. Jagang is smart. So to make sure that nobody rats on each other, she was Mrs. Blue, and he was, I forget the color of his robes, but he was Mr. I don't know. No, he's got armor. So we'll call him Mr. Red and Mrs. Blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't know each other's names. There was a driver, but he died.
Yeah. Well, tell me your part of the plan and then tell me her part of the plan. But we're done. We're done.
Yep, that's it. That's
they
the
just
end of the chapter.
hop up out of that pit and are like, bye, dude.
All right, peace. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I want to give a shout out to all of our patrons for continuing to support this
Betrayans.
episode. Yes, our Betrayans, the first file. If you do so, please. I kind of like that for our Patreons, calling them the first file. I dig that.
Yeah.
And I also want to give another shout out to Juniper and Carulas, who are continuing to do more work on the Discord. You guys should definitely go check that out. We have now put the link on the website and our Patreon page as well. So you can link to that from literally anywhere.
We didn't do that. Nate did that.
I did that. I did that yesterday, and I felt like a fucking wizard when I did it. I sent him a message right away. I did a thing! Kind of felt a little childish. You know, I posted a link somewhere. I should be able to do that. I post a podcast every week, but, you know, whatever.
Whatever. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
I know what things are, and words and stuff. Yay! But seriously, thank you guys all very, very much for listening. Oh, fuck. You know what?
No, what?
I didn't give any of the socials. If you wanted to let us know what you thought about today's episode, you totally can by writing an email to podcastatt@gmail.com or finding us on any of our social medias or the aforementioned Patreon. And I was gonna try and think of another one for Discord, but it's Discord. Discord. Thank you guys so much for listening. Now I can say it. We'll see you real soon.
Bye.
Are you gonna sing now?
No.
If you wanted to, you could.
No.
Still going.
I'm gonna drink more beer.
Do you need some motivation?
Yeah.
Go for it.
No.
Give me a big.
Ah!
I mean, singing. You just holler. Okay. Not today. Maybe tomorrow.